While Jesus was hanging on the cross, his mother was standing nearby. Can you imagine the horror Mary was feeling as she looked up and saw her son suffering and near death? As we ponder this story, this one thing we must keep in mind is that Mary was a woman who over her lifetime had experienced a great deal of grief and sorrow. So Jesus was dying, and he began to think about his mom. And when Jesus saw his mother there, and the disciple whom he loved standing nearby, he said to his mother, "Dear woman, here is your son." And to the disciple he said, "Here is your mother." And from that time on, the disciple took her to his home. So again, Mary was somebody who, over her life, had experienced a tremendous amount of grief and sorrow. When she gave birth to Jesus, there was no room in the inn. And what grief she must have suffered to see Jesus hated and persecuted by his own people. She had to flee with him when he was a baby to keep him from being put to death. All that grief and suffering that she's gone through all of her life was nothing compared to what she was experiencing now. Here her son was dying a horrible death on the cross. She was suffering and grieving for him, and he provided her with words of comfort. While Jesus was gasping for air, he looked down at his mother, who probably had tear-stained cheeks, and said to her, and I'm paraphrasing, "Mom, let John take care of you. And John, please watch over my mother." Though Jesus would eventually rise from the dead, he knew he would not be on this earth to care for his mother. So what lesson can we learn from this? Even though we may be going through difficult times, we can still be concerned for the needs of others. Even though Jesus was suffering, even though he was going through tremendous pain, he was still concerned about others. At times when we're struggling, we become self-focused. But here Jesus shows us that when we suffer, we should not only be concerned about our own welfare, but also the welfare of others. No matter what kind of trial you may be experiencing, we can still be concerned for others. We can set aside our problems to help other people and comfort other people during their times of struggles. One time there was a contest to find the most caring child. The winner was a 4-year-old child whose next door neighbor was an elderly gentleman who has recently lost his wife. Upon seeing the man cry, this little boy went over into his yard, climbed onto his lap, and just sat there. So here this little boy sees a man crying, and he goes over and he crawls up into his lap. When the little boy came home, his mother asked him what he had said to the neighbor. And the little boy said, "Nothing. I just helped him cry." Sometimes people just need us to be there while they cry. Don't neglect others around you, even if you're hurting. I want you to stop for a minute and think. There's one more lesson to be learned here. All the disciples had deserted Christ. Not one of them stood in protest to what was being done to their Savior. Everybody who knew him, everybody who knew Jesus, everybody who had walked the past 3 years with him had deserted him. When the time of testing came, they had failed. But what did Jesus do when John came back? What does Christ do when he sees John? Does he rebuke him for running away? No. In his wondrous grace, he gave him the unspeakable privilege of taking care of his mother. Take care of my mom, John. No rebuke. no matter how bad we fail, no matter what we do, no matter how horribly we fail. God always accepts us back. He will never turn his back on us. He opens his loving arms and envelops us. God always accepts us back. So today, here's the challenge. Examine your heart. Have you wandered away? When your time of testing came, did you fail? Have you given more thought to yourself than the interests of others, than the interests of God? God's offering you an opportunity to come back today. Come back. Who around you is in need of someone to cry with them? Are you so focused on your own problems that you have difficulty seeing the needs of others around you? There are times where we need others to come and cry with us, but most importantly, we need to be watchful of others around us and be concerned about their needs, no matter what we may be going through. Are you taking care of the people that God has put in your trust? Are you looking out for those around you that God has placed under your care? No matter what is going on, God is always going to be there to greet you with welcome. And also know this, God's got a wonderful purpose and plan for you. Come back. Listen, right now it's a struggle for all of us. And I get that things just seem really strange. But I want you to know something. We're here for you. In this time of social distancing, in this time of everything that we're going through, we're here for you. You just need to reach out. Drop us a message. Let us know how we can help.